is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. For the final time this week in Southern California, it's the Angels and the Rangers. Rangers looking for a win to salvage something out of this series before they head off to Kansas City. And today we'll go with the left-hander Martin Perez. We welcome you inside the Big A. I'm Dave Raymond with Steve Busby. The news today was not good news. Prince Fielder and Shin-Soo Choo to the disabled list. That certainly changes things for Jeff Bannister and the Rangers. What it also changes is the playing time we can expect for Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, and Dave, what it also does for Jurickson Profar, it makes his versatility a paramount trait that he has, and it's going to benefit the Rangers greatly now because Jurickson is going to be a man of all positions. With both Choo and Fielder out, there's going to be a spot in the starting lineup for Jurickson virtually every single day. This season, at .317 average, a very valuable member of the Ranger offensive thrust, especially in that leadoff spot. He's got 4 home runs. He's driven in 14. On-base percentage, so up there over .360. So Jurickson Profar now becomes the man of the moment, the man of several moments in different positions for the Rangers. Great guy to have right now, especially in the ball club.
Hey, looks good in those 1986 road unis as well. Rangers, by the way, 12-5 in games in which he is batted leadoff, which he is today. Martin Perez ready to take the mound in this one. Rangers and Angels one last time. Lineups, first pitch coming up. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T high-speed internet, get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Well, just about set to go this evening, Rangers and Angels, and we welcome in for the first time tonight our own John Radigan.
Yeah, Dave, sometimes if it wasn't for bad news, there wouldn't be any news at all. And, of course, you guys mentioned it in the open, the bad news about Shin-Soo Choo and Prince Fielder. As the word got around the clubhouse today, the players and Jeff Bannister realized as bad as they feel for their teammates, they can't feel sorry for themselves. After all, there's a game to play.
We know how much they want to be on the field and play and contribute. But like these situations before, this is a cause for other guys to step up, give them an opportunity. We're at a great place. We're in a situation where we're still leading the West. We've been playing some baseball that's been very challenging for us, but it gives an opportunity for the rest of our guys to kind of tighten up what we're doing and continue to play.
Absolutely a next man up philosophy around here, and the good news about the next two men up in this case are that Delino DeShields and Hanser Alberto have both spent a lot of time over the last year and a half at the major league level. So these are guys who know what they're in for, and the reinforcements are expected to join us at some point very soon, sometime probably during the game, guys. Let's get it back up to you.
Yeah, thanks, John. And, Buzz, the other thing this does, it is certainly now a challenge for this team to work around the loss of both Fielder and Choo, but it does now give a much different look to this ball club for Jeff Bannister. He's got a lot of flexibility now. He can move Profar all over. You might see a number of guys acting as the DH now on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah, you're getting more people involved, Dave, and more than just the two that would seem obvious when two guys are out. You come up with different ways to employ what you have. And the Rangers all of a sudden have lost a very versatile outfielder in Shin-Soo Choo and a guy who was your DH/first baseman. Those positions are going to be manned by people who have demonstrated the versatility to play both of those. And Jurickson Profar, again, I'll bring his name up because he's going to be the one that really is showcased on how many different positions he can play and how well he can contribute.
So that sets the stage for tonight's contest. Let's take a look at our Southwest Airlines starting lineup. The Rangers come in 55-40, a 4-game lead in the division. And Jeff Bannister today starts it off with Profar at second base, Ian Desmond in center field, and then Adrian Beltre batting third, playing third. The cleanup man, Ryan Rua in left field. Rougned Odor moves into the DH spot today, bats fifth. Batting sixth is Elvis Andrus. Mitch Moreland, a tough night last night. He's at first base batting seventh. Robinson Chirinos catches and bats eighth. And for the first time this season, Nomar Mazara batting ninth and starting in right field.
And that lineup for Jeff Bannister facing the left-hander Hector Santiago. Fastball, changeup, curveball artist, and he has it all working right now. His command has been extremely good. The 22 scoreless inning, or 22 innings without giving up an earned run will tell you that. So the Rangers have to go back and adjust their thinking a bit. The old formula, the old book that they had on Santiago may not be as apropos tonight as it had been in the past. So you have to see what has changed in him, how he looks different. The command of the pitches has varied on how he goes about working to hitters. His normal method may have changed just a bit to each individual hitter.
And for Santiago, as it pertains to the Rangers, he'll need to change it up just a little bit as he starts us off with ball one to Jurickson Profar. Profar, the switch hitter, batting right-handed tonight. We mentioned this is the 18th time that he is led off for the Rangers. And so far this year, 12 wins, 5 losses when he is at the top spot of the order. He did a fantastic job here Monday night and lashes this one to short. Simmons with a good backhand stop and gets Profar for the first out of the ball game. Well, Andrelton Simmons, the anchor of this defense, and he's joined by Yunel Escobar on the left side. On the right side of the infield, Johnny Giavotella at second. Jeffrey Marte, the start at first tonight. It's Cunningham in left field, Mike Trout at center, Calhoun in right, and Jet Bandy doing the catching for Santiago this evening. Santiago, when we talk about what he has done against the Rangers this year,
it has been a struggle for him. So pours in strike one to Desmond. 0-2 with an ERA of 7.07 in his 3 starts against the Rangers. Jumps ahead of Desmond here 0-2.
Yeah, Santiago had trouble against the Rangers getting ahead of hitters. He doesn't have the kind of stuff that he can pitch from behind. 2-0, 3-1 very often. He doesn't have the quality out pitch that's, say Tim Lincecum, even though he lost velocity, still has the quality out pitches.
Desmond hits this ball hard to the alley in right, and he will cruise to second base with the 1-out double. So Desmond, after 3 hits yesterday, including a home run, off to a good start again tonight.
You think Ian Desmond isn't hot? My goodness, that's 5 at-bats now, though, over the last 2 nights. And he has smoked the ball every single time except the time he walked. And that wasn't for lack of trying. That was just that Tim Lincecum had seen enough of Desmond, so he walked him anyway. But Desmond, right center field, left center field, a lot of balls in the middle of the diamond, and a couple of them leaving the ball yard or getting up against the wall.
So an authoritative double for Desmond, and now Adrian Beltre. He's seen a little bit of Santiago over the years. 9 hits against him. And he takes ball 1.
Yeah, that cutter that you just saw Santiago throw, that had been a favored pitch for him until lately. He kind of backed off throwing that. He felt he was getting behind trying to make that perfect pitch inside the way he started Adrian off. And so he went away from it a bit.
Beltre goes out after this one and puts it up into the seats. 1-1 the count.
And that pitch is his best off-speed pitch, that straight changeup. And he throws it with a little bit of screwball action. He'll change speeds with his changeup, actually. And he'll throw one that is a very good screwball. And it goes down and away from a right-hander quite a bit.
Now deliberate now with Beltre. Throwing the screwball, when I was a little kid, I always felt like that was almost an impossible way to turn the ball, but it's really not. Do you really turn it with the hand, or is it just how it rolls off the fingers?
You turn your hand. You don't try to flip it like a curveball. You don't flip your wrist with it. That's where you start having elbow problems. But guys that throw a good curve or a good screwball have a lot of different finger pressure that they control the spin with, and that's what's hard to master.
Yeah, awfully rare that you see a guy who does have an effective screwball that he'll use with regularity. Desmond at second. 1-2 to Beltre. And will hold off. 2-2.
Yeah, that was the slower one. That was the real screwball that Santiago will feature.
Did you ever dabble with that in your career?
Oh yeah. I don't think there was a pitch that I didn't dabble with from time to time. Pitchers do that. We're kind of an inquisitive lot. We always want to have something a little bit extra.
Beltre's been very good in these spots. Saw the numbers a moment ago, but 5th in the American League with runners in scoring position. Hitting nearly 360 in those spots. Yesterday, hitless in 4 tries. Santiago. And this one bounced down to third. So Escobar on top of it. Nowhere for Desmond to go. Beltre retired. 2 gone.
Left fielder, number 16, Ryan Rua.
So Santiago with a couple of ground ball outs, and now we'll deal with Ryan Rua. Rua getting the start in the cleanup spot tonight. Now, he has done good damage against left-handed pitching this year, but you see the numbers right there at the bottom of your screen. His career against Santiago. Another one of the reasons why he's batting cleanup tonight. I figure there may be some opportunity for him with runners on base, and indeed, right out of the gate tonight. And some guys, you just can't deny it. They see fellas well, and Rua, well, those numbers would tell you, the earlier numbers anyway, that he does have a good look at Santiago. 2-0 the count. And for a second, think that Santiago isn't aware of what Ryan Rua has done.
Now, Santiago working with first base open and 2 outs, and he has a left-handed hitting Rougned Odor vying to be next. So this is not paramount for Santiago to really go after Ryan Rua with pitches in the middle of the strike zone.
It's 2-0. Rua wanted that one.
That was a mistake. That was Santiago missed by the full width of the plate and probably half the height of the strike zone. It's like Jet Bandy had set that target inside. That was probably that cut fastball that he just didn't get through.
Well, so he may well have gotten away with one there. Rua has struggled his last 21 games overall. And he fouls this one back our direction. And almost in the booth to our right. Two and 2 on Rua. Rua 8 for his last 49. Maybe tonight, though, this spot in the order against a left-hander who he has hit well in his career. Maybe he can get it going again. Rangers could use him. Sends this one to the upper deck, and the count stays 2 and 2. I mentioned at the top, the news this afternoon, Shin-Soo Choo and Prince Fielder both placed on the disabled list today. And for Fielder, the news particularly devastating. He reported some weakness in his left arm, some discomfort in his neck, had an MRI yesterday, and was diagnosed with herniation of the C4 and C5 discs in his neck. Rua chases strike 3, and the Rangers waste the 1-out double. So nothing doing at the top of the first, and Martin Perez coming out. Angels and Rangers. Final game in this 3-game set, and then the Rangers head off to Kansas City. Let's take a look at the starting lineup tonight for the Angels. Yunel Escobar at third base leading it off. Cole Calhoun at right. Mike Trout in center field, and then Albert Pujols, the DH, bats cleanup. Jeffrey Marte gets to start at first. Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop. Jet Bandy will catch and bat 7th. Johnny Giavatello, the second baseman, bats 8th, and then Todd Cunningham in left field rounds things out for Mike Scioscia and the Angels.
And that's Mike Scioscia's lineup that will face Martin Perez, the 25-year-old southpaw from Venezuela, making his team-high 20th start. This also for Martin Perez matches his career high in a season.
And we start Escobar low with ball 1.
Now Martin trying to get back on the winning track. The last 2 times out, he has taken the loss both against the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs. Martin trying to put up a W, which would be his first. It's going back to the latter stages of June.
Escobar, very good leadoff man for this Angels team. He's put up pretty good numbers this year. Pops this one out of play foul, and it's 2-1. He is the one guy that the Rangers really have handled well in this series. 0 for 8. They've done a pretty good job of keeping him off the bases ahead of guys like Trout and Pujols in the heart of the order. 2-1 pitch. Bouncer, left side. Long throw for Elvis Andrus. And not in time. Well, that's a great stretch by Moreland, and Elvis had to throw that from short left field. A long way out there.
I don't think anybody in baseball does this any better than Elvis now, and now that Derek Jeter's retired. Elvis taking a page right out of Jeter's book. Got that remarkably on line. That's what amazes me, Dave, is that not only does he get to a ball like that, that's incredible enough in itself, but then is able to jump and turn and throw in the same motion and have such good accuracy with it.
Well, that is one heck of an effort. But Escobar gets his first hit of the series. So he's on now for Cole Calhoun. And Perez misses with ball 1. Calhoun has found his way on quite a bit in this series. A couple of hits. And you can see he has been trouble all year in 11 games against the Rangers. He scored 5 runs in this series already. Oh no, it's this ball hard out to right field. Mazara and Desmond converging. Desmond makes the catch, 1 away. Let's take a look at the rest of the Rangers defense, delivered to you by the New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. Now Desmond just made that play in center, anchoring the outfield. In left is Ryan Arua, Nomar Mazara in right. On the infield, left side, Beltre third, Andrus at short. Profar getting the start at second base today. Mitch Moreland manning first base, and then Robinson Chirinos doing the catching for Martin Perez. One out, a man on for Mike Trout. Perez gets him to go after, strike 1.
And Perez has handled Trout well in his career. Mike Trout only 3 for 14 against Martin. Still, so much about matchup statistics revolve around when did you face somebody. We've seen Trout not be able to hit a fastball above his belt to save his life at certain times of a year. And then you see him 2 months later, and he either takes that pitch, doesn't offer at it, or he's able to get on top of it for whatever reason. So it just, the 3 for 14 might be a good indicator that he handles him well, and also might mean that you haven't faced Trout when he's swinging the bat well.
1-1 pitch. And Martin a little bit low. It's tough to find him in a real bad stretch, but there are times when guys just are on fire.
Yeah, the first series last year that the Rangers played the Angels in this ballpark, Trout was really struggling. He must have, in the 3-game series, I'll bet he struck out 8 times against Ranger pitchers, and all they did was pump fastballs above the belt and on the inner part of the plate. But then you see him in July of that year, and it doesn't matter. It's a totally different hitter. And as good as he is, he's not going to stay in those funks very long. You just hope that you catch him during a couple of them.
One of the most dangerous hitters in the American League. He's got Escobar at first, and the 2-2 runs the count full. He was a unanimous Rookie of the Year in the American League when he came up, and then 2 years ago, unanimous MVP. Only guy who's ever accomplished that in the American League, unanimous in both awards. 3-2, and he is on. So the walk to Trout. And that brings up Albert Pujols.
You know, you're talking about last night, Dave, about walks and how bad they are most of them. I don't consider that a bad walk. Once you get to a 2-1 count on Trout, or even 3-2, if you walk him, I'm not too upset with that. Now, falling behind in the first place is, yeah, that's something you can question. But once you fall behind, I think a walk might be the lesser of 3 or 4 different evils.
Well, this guy yesterday, 2 3-run homers. Point well taken, but you just as soon not have anybody on base when he comes up.
Yeah.
Especially the way he's swinging. Good pick off to second, but Escobar just gets in there.
I don't know if I saw that play correctly, but it looked like that ball went through the webbing of Profar's glove again. That's the 3rd different glove that he's had out there that a ball's done that to. I'd have to look at a replay. I'm not gonna state that with conviction.
Perez takes another look at Escobar. He comes to the plate. Pujols lines it center, base hit. Escobar didn't get a good start. Here comes a relay throw from Elvis. It's offline. And Escobar is in there. Angels score the first run tonight.
Well, Escobar did not get a very good read on this. That's a mistake by Perez. It stayed up and out over the plate. That's exactly where Pujols has had pitches that he's hurt the Rangers with in this series. But Escobar kind of holding up right there, stopped completely. And by that time, then he had to be waved around third. And Elvis had a shot at him. If the throw's down where Chirinos can handle it and make the tag quickly, they've got him at the plate. But that would have taken a perfect relay throw.
So the Angels plate a run. And they have 2 men out there for Marte. Runner going, and the pitch to Marte in the dirt. Trout with a steal of 3rd. That's his 17th of the year.
Now, Trout picking on Martin Perez. Not only did he pick the right pitch, it was a breaking ball in the dirt, but Martin checked him one time and that was it. And Trout was off before Martin ever started the move toward the plate. Now that's a part of Mike Trout's game that he didn't utilize much last year. He's already surpassed last year's stolen base total, but he's back at it again this year.
So now they're on the corners for Marte. And it's 2-0. Now Marte getting the start tonight at first base. They have used him both on the corners and in left field. This is the first year he has ever played any in the outfield. Even back to his minor league career as he takes one just a little low, and it's 3-0. So now Martin in danger of loading them up in the first inning. Deliberate 3-0 pitch, and that ball hit high in the air, very deep left field, and it is gone. 3-run shot from Marte. Angels jump out 4-0.
Now you can't assume in the first inning that you've already gotten down by a run that the Angels will have a red light, a take sign on 3-0. Marte has good power. He showed you right there. But you leave a pitch out over the plate where he can get full extension. He can hit it as far as anybody.
So now the base is empty for Andrelton Simmons. Tough start tonight. Marte, that's 6 home runs and 108 at-bats this year. He definitely brings some thump. 2-0 to Simmons.
Doug Brocail seeing the body language of Martin Perez, very frustrated, very upset with himself. Good time for the Ranger pitching coach to go out and have a heart-to-heart with him. You see, this is not a visit to say, how you feeling? This is a visit to say, get yourself together, bear down now. You've already given that up. There's nothing you can do about it. Hold it right there. Give us a chance to come back in this ballgame.
Now Rangers going to have to come from behind tonight. 4 runs in this bottom of the first. And it's 2-1 to Andrelton Simmons. Well, he has really picked it up offensively. 3 for 7 in this series, but a bouncer short. Andrus with the play. 2 gone. So good comeback for Perez.
And Martin, once he gets out of that, oh, woe is me line of thought, that every pitcher gets into that from time to time. But you need to have somebody come out, whether it's the catcher or the pitching coach, and shake you up a little bit. Get you away from worrying about, thinking about living in the past. Get back to the present moment and do what you can do from there on in.
Well, sometimes that's got to be a stunner, right? When you get ambushed 3-0 like that. I mean, surely you're not expecting that. 1-1 to Jet Bandy. That definitely, right before that Brocail visit, it looked to have really shaken Perez. Bandy now in a hole 1 and 2. Saw the overall numbers for Bandy. They don't wow you, but he's been a lot better lately. He's hit 7 of his last 8 games. And the average over the last 17 games, right around 300. And he homered last night. We've seen a lot of home runs in this series from both teams.
Yep. Robinson Chirinos being given all the time that he needs by Mike Malinsky, the home plate umpire. That last foul tip had a pretty good chunk of Robinson Chirinos. Really in a vulnerable spot. You get that ball fouled straight down, and not a whole lot of protection as far as your thighs are concerned. It gets you inside of your thigh, come up and hit you on the outside of the thigh. It's in a vulnerable, in a position of no help.
Now Bandy lifts one into center field, and a real nice play by Desmond to haul it in and in the inning. Angels, though, jump in front, a 4-run bottom of the first. Dog night is Wednesday, July 27th, when the Oakland A's play your Texas Rangers. Head out to the ballpark early, enjoy all the hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Get your tickets today, TexasRangers.com, or by calling 972-RANGERS. Well, 1 inning in to tonight's contest. And the Angels have announced their presence. A 3-run homer by Jeffrey Marte. In the bottom of the first right now, the big blow is now Rougned Odor leading off the second inning.
A couple things have to happen right now, Dave. First of all, the offense has got to stay with what game plan they had against Santiago, not try to deviate from it. Chip away if you can. You'll get a run here, a run there. But the big thing is don't get away from what you had planned to do, no matter what the score is right now. The other thing is Martin Perez has to be able to cross off what happened in the first inning and pitch like it's nothing from here on out.
Well, there is a lot of baseball left to be played in this one. TXU Energy power player to watch tonight. Rougned Odor, the DH, batting 5th. How about those numbers against Hector Santiago? And Rougned also swinging a real hot bat in this series, 5 for 9 with a home run. So Jeff Bannister, by putting Rua 4th and Odor 5th, these two guys back to back against Santiago who have really seen him well over the years. This ball smashed foul. It's 2-2. So Odor getting kind of like a partial night off, if you will, and this is where Jeff Bannister sees a little advantage for some of his infielders. You don't have to have Odor out of the lineup just because he's not playing second. Stays 2-2.
Yeah, and Profar, again, Profar's versatility allows you to plug him in anywhere in the infield, so that whether you want Orland or Odor or Elvis or Adrian Beltre out of the lineup on a partial day off at DH, you can do that and you don't lose anything defensively.
Here's a 2-2, and Odor strikes out to start the second inning. Now our Kubota Power stats tonight about Hector Santiago. Santiago, the left-hander, now with 23 and change consecutive innings pitched without an earned run. Longest such streak of his career. A little bit different than scoreless inning streak. It's just earned runs. As he buries one to Andrews for ball 1. Nonetheless, a very good run these days for Santiago. Andrews, meanwhile, is the one hitter who's having a huge month of July for the Rangers. Elvis batting 6th tonight. Look at those numbers right there. 362 average. He was 3 for 4 last night. And takes strike 1. 3-game hitting streak for Elvis. Santiago's 2-1. He's only allowed 1 base runner so far, but here in the second inning, quickly approaching 30 pitches. And he puts Andrus on. So a 1-out walk in the second inning. And it gets Moreland to the plate.
First baseman, number 18, Mitch Moreland.
Moreland 4 hits in his career against Santiago. Had a real tough night last night, though. 0 for 5 with a couple of strikeouts and stranded 5 base runners in the first 2 innings. I don't want to atone for that tonight.
A little bit misleading, though, Dave. The last 3 times up, he smoked the ball. All 3 times. Hit a couple of line drives out and a hard ground ball out. So they weren't completely unproductive as far as Mitch's psyche is concerned. And he's got something a little bit positive to bring into today.
One home run on this trip. That was Monday night. Number 100 of his career. Santiago, the former White Sox closer. Several years ago, he's made the transition to starting for the Angels. Last year, his first real deep year as a starter, 32 starts. It's 2-0 on Moreland.
The White Sox at that time had an interesting decision to make. They had both Santiago and a youngster at that time by the name of Jose Quintana. Both of them left-handed, very much similar in stuff and how they approach people. They decided that Quintana maybe had a bigger upside as a starter, and that Santiago might be better suited in the bullpen. That didn't work out extremely well, so Santiago was dealt out here as part of a 3-team trade. But interesting how things like that in baseball pop up, and the decisions that are made have such a far-ranging effect on different teams.
And how teams can see the same guy so differently.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Elvis Andrus at first base via the walk. And there's a strike to Moreland. 2-1 the count. Santiago, 28 years old. That's his third year with the Angels. And Moreland lifts this one high in the air, but to straightaway center field. Trout waiting patiently, and there are 2 away. Well, that'll bring up Robinson Chirinos. So early in this one, and tonight, it's the Angels with the quick lead. Of course, Monday night, the Rangers jumped out 4-0, only to watch the Angels storm back and win it 9-5. Yesterday, again, the Rangers got out in front 3-0. The Angels would come back and win that one 8-6. So having the big early lead in this series has not necessarily meant a whole lot. Breaking ball to Chirinos, misses for ball 1. Robinson Chirinos off a 2-homer night last night. You see those 8 home runs this year, all of them coming on the road. Two and 0 on Chirinos. So this was last night. Chirinos' second inning with 2 out. The best part of that was Tim Lincecum's response. Lincecum again, and Chirinos a little bit further this time. 2-run shot that time. Now 3-0. Chirinos moves up 1 spot in the order tonight after the 2 homers yesterday. And we learned in the bottom of the first, just because it's 3-0 doesn't mean a guy's necessarily taking. Jeffrey Marte hit his big home run for the Angels moments ago on a 3-0 pitch from Martin Perez.
And on the heels of a 2-home run game, you might see a green light here.
Strike called, 3-1 on Chirinos.
We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. Or we might know in like 3 hours, but it won't really matter.
Yeah, if you remember to ask him, because I know I won't.
Chirinos, I mean, his last 11 games, he's got 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, and he'll walk here, so 2 men on. Santiago feeling around a little bit for his command in this second inning. Walks to the 6th and 8th place hitters in the Rangers order. And we'll see if Nomar Mazara can make him pay for it. Now Mazara has had a hit in all 9 games he has played this year against the Angels. Well, you'd love to have one right here. Might just get at least one of those runs back from the bottom of the first inning. And there his numbers against the Angels, pretty good. I brought it up the other night, Buzz, but he made a lot of noise on his debut right here in this ballpark.
He did. 3-hit afternoon, including his first major league home run off no less than Jared Weaver. It's a pretty impressive way to break into the big leagues.
I'll take a strike to count 1-1. Well, Rangers have scored some runs in this series. 6 runs yesterday, only to fall short. 5 runs on Monday, but it would not be enough. It's going to take at least 5 tonight. 2-1 to Mazara. Well, Santiago, for a guy working with a 4-0 lead in the second inning and facing the bottom of the order, he is he's really picking a little bit here. Pitch count climbing quickly.
Yeah, he's kind of gone back, fallen into that trap of the cut fastball, going to that both left-handers and right-handers and jerking it out of the strike zone too far to the third base side of home plate. And if you don't go away from that, if you don't go to a couple of two-seamers or something off speed, you can get behind and not be able to catch back up.
3-1 to Mazara. Well, he just walked Chirinos, walked Elvis Andrus with 1 out. And he may gift the Rangers another base runner here in the second inning with 2 away and turn the lineup over. Big 3-1 pitch, and he has walked Mazara. So the Rangers with 3 walks load him up in the second inning.
Second baseman, number 19, Jurickson.
Yeah, the guys sitting over there in the Ranger bench have to be doing what the Angels did the last 2 nights. Say, hey, if this guy doesn't want to pitch with a big lead, let's help him out a little bit. Let's make sure the lead isn't quite what it was before. Let's make him pay for that.
Well, Profar can go a long way to that end. With numbers with the bases loaded.
Be a good time to turn the numbers around too, as far as batting right-handed as opposed to left-handed. Jurickson still with the advantage as a left-handed hitter. May not have to swing the bat though, the way Santiago's going.
No kidding. So 3 walks already. And the 1-0 to Profar. And there's a strike called.
Now we've seen that Jurickson Profar will not expand his strike zone. When he has an opportunity to work a pitcher, he will, and this is a perfect opportunity for him.
Well, he was unbelievable Monday night. Saw 29 pitches in, what was it, 5 trips to the plate. 29 pitches. And now time called. Santiago really struggling in this second inning. Profar with this outstanding opportunity.
Bundy must have been putting down the sign for a strike, and Santiago didn't want to, shaking him off.
Or didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
What is that?
Maybe that's the problem.
So Rangers everywhere in this second inning. The 1-1 to Profar. And it's 2-1. Profar with runners in scoring position this year, hitting .400. With that count edging to his favor, should get something good. And he does, and he hammers it left field. Cunningham going back, reaches up, and he makes the catch. Profar gave it a good ride, but didn't quite have enough. And the Rangers leave him loaded in the top of the second inning. Angels 5-4. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Bottom of the second inning, and Martin Perez comes right after Johnny Giavotella. Giavotella, Todd Cunningham, the 8 and 9 hitters, and then back up top for Yunel Escobar. One ball, one strike on Giavotella, .262 hitter. He started Monday's game at second base. Back there again tonight. 2-1 the count. Well, Rangers just missed a huge opportunity in the top of the second inning. Santiago walked, the bases loaded. Profar hit that ball hard to left field, but Cunningham had room to make the play.
Yeah, he did everything they could. They worked the walks, and Jurickson made solid contact, but this did not work out that time. It wasn't because the Rangers didn't do the right things. They did.
So Perez has to go back to work, try and put up a goose egg in the second inning, but he walks the leadoff man, Johnny Giavotella. Second walk tonight issued by Martin Perez. We'll bring up Todd Cunningham.
Yeah, we talked about the walk to Mike Trout not being a bad walk. This is a bad walk to Giavotella leading off the second inning. When you're trying to get some rhythm, some flow back into the game, go out there and throw strikes early in the count and get ahead of the guys at the bottom of the order, because you know there's trouble once you turn that lineup over.
Now Cunningham just 2 for 19, and he'll bunt it right back to Perez. His play is to first. High bouncer Took any thought of a potential play at second base out of it. What a good sacrifice by Cunningham, and now it's back to the top for Yunel Escobar.
If you're not going to deaden it by bunting it softly, then bounce it. Bounce it way up in the air. That's what Cunningham did.
Those are tough to practice.
They are. They are. You have to. Those work in Arizona real well. Chop it down in front of home plate out there, and that thing could go 40 feet in the air, maybe 50.
There are days when the infield here feels a little bit like a spring training infield.
It can.
So here's Escobar, and he shoots one right by first. Giovitella will come in to score. RBI single by Escobar, and he just took too big a turn. He's out at first. He fell asleep over there. Mazara throwing it back in, and I'm not sure what Escobar was thinking.
Escobar was thinking Mazara was going to come up and throw to second base just automatically. Mazara came up and almost looked like he was going to throw it to second, and saw how far Escobar had grounded first. He said, no, I got a shot there. I think he kind of crossed Escobar up as far as what he looked like to it. Watch, he's going to second. Up. He stepped towards second and threw back behind him. A good decoy by Nomar Mazara.
That's some trickery. Really well done. So 2 out, bases empty, but a run across. Angels lead 5-0, and now Calhoun swinging for it all to start his at bat here in the second.
Now you really have to make sure with Calhoun up there. I know you just gave up a run. You're probably a little upset about it, but make sure and make quality pitches to Calhoun. You have to make him swing the bat.
Martin comes after him again. The count 0-2.
The reason we keep saying that, the way that Trout and Pujols have swung the bat in this series, you want to keep people off base in front of them at every opportunity. Make them hit with the bases empty when at all possible.
He's done a very good job in this series of finding his way on. And he hits this one high in the air, left center. But Rua with room out there. And the inning is over. The leadoff walk did come in to score, but further damage averted. 5-0 Angels to the third. Capped it on July 26th at the Whataburger on East Broad Street in Mansfield. Don't miss his chance to win great prizes and to meet Pudge at Whataburger. Go to TexasRangers.com/appearances for more information. 2 innings in the books here tonight. Ian Desmond will start off the third. It'll be Desmond, Beltre, and Rua. The Rangers trailing the Angels 5-0. Final game of this 3-game series. Santiago goes 2-0 to Desmond after a second inning in which he walked Andrus, Chirinos, and Mazara.
You get after him right here in this inning. You got the top of your lineup up.
2-1 now. Now, it was a slow start after the All-Star break for Desmond. He made his second All-Star team this year, his first in the American League, but boy, lately has picked it up. Had a huge night last night at the plate. It's now 2-2. Yesterday he had the 3 hits, one of them a homer. He also walked, he stole a base. Wasn't a whole lot he didn't do. And before the game was announced that he was the Heart and Hustle winner this year for the Rangers. He doubled off Santiago in the first. And stays alive here. 2-2 the count. Fun to see the Rangers in those 1986 road grays. Kind of a turn back the clock night tonight here in Anaheim. This ball hammered, but down the right field line and slicing away foul. Angels have turned back the clock a little bit as well. The 1970s home unis. Players get a kick out of putting on the old uniforms. Fouled off again. Count stays 2-2. There are some throwback unis though in this Angels uniform, one of them, where there's just the huge elastic belt.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know if those are quite as much fun. I don't know. This one off the handle and into center field, a base hit. Desmond 2 for 2 tonight. Productive start to the 3rd inning.
Another multi-hit game for Ian Desmond. He just continues to chalk those up. Soft, home runs, whatever.
Yeah.
They all fall in. Great to see him swinging the bat this way.
He just finds a way every night. Now Adrian Beltre. Beltre grounded out in the 1st inning. Just 2 for 20 on this trip, although he did homer on Monday. Santiago approaching 60 pitches. And Beltre hits his ball hard left field. Cunningham going back to the wall, and he can't get it. Desmond with good speed will round 3rd. He scores. Beltre going for 3, and he is in there. Rangers on the board on the Beltre triple, and it's a 5-1 ball game.
Adrian showing his blazing speed. Boy, Adrian, he talks about it all the time, doesn't get an opportunity to show us that much. And he showed us there. Got the RBI and the 3-bagger. Now, this ball hit hard. It carried very well to left field. If the ball that he had hit last night to Cunningham late in the ballgame had the same kind of backspin as this one, it would have carried out of the yard. But that one last night had some topspin on it. That's the one that Cunningham almost had it pop out of his glove.
Yeah.
Fooled him and it came back. But this one had the carry on it. Just did get over Cunningham's glove. He got to the wall at the ball at the same time.
So now 0-2 on Ryan Rule. That just missed going out by about a foot.
Yeah, you're right.
So a single and a triple. And though the Angels did get those 4 runs in the first, another in the second, you get the sense that Santiago is a little vulnerable tonight.
Yeah, he's gotten back to the way the Rangers remembered him from before and from last year, and where he's not getting ahead of hitters. He's trying to pitch from behind with not a great changeup tonight. He has not been able to get guys to expand their strike zone much, and that's really his primary weapon when he's pitching 2-0, 3-1.
This one lifted down into that right field corner. Calhoun with the catch, and Beltre scampers home on the sac fly. It's a 5-2 game.
Adrian had a little conversation with Mike Malinsky. Say, hey, you want to line up in a little different spot when I'm coming down the line? Guy with this blazing speed, I just can't stop on a dime, you know? A good job by Ryan Rua to get the sacrifice fly, and that's important. Get that run home from third. You know, how many times we talk about it the first 2 nights? Get the man in from third, less than 2 outs. And Rangers not able to do it nearly enough, and they let some leads go by the boards.
That was a huge story in last night's game. Just a terrible inability to get that run home. Is now Odor. Bats with the bases empty and 1 out. Santiago runs one off the plate and once again has fallen behind here. 2-0 to Odor. Now he struck Odor out back in the second inning. As he continues to fall behind, he's going to have to come out over that plate, and you give Odor a fastball, and he's going to hit it. Now he doesn't get as many. There are only 2 players in baseball right now seeing a lower percentage of fastballs than Rougned Odor. That's why when he gets ahead 2-0, you start licking your chops just a little. This one hit down the left field line and does end up in the seats about 4 rows up. 2-2 the count. Santiago has pitched very well this year against the Western Division. With 9-3 against the West with a 3.08 earned run average, but 2 of his 3 losses have been at the hands of the Rangers, and we talked about his numbers earlier. Not good at all against the Rangers. Odor hits this one a mile high, but it's not going to carry. Calhoun makes the play. With 2 out, let's check in with Dana Larson on a Chevy game break. All right, thanks, Dana. So, yeah, Seattle kind of picking things up just a little bit. We saw the Astros won earlier this afternoon. So additional pressure put on the Rangers tonight. Trailing by 3. And Santiago a little wobbly out there this evening, and Andrews fouls off strike 1. Elvis started that parade of walks in the second inning. Falls behind here, 0-2. 3 hits, including a double yesterday for Andrus. And he has come up with hit after hit lately. He swings and hits this one down for that left field corner. Cunningham, though, with room and botched it. Wow.
Todd Cunningham had that wall in mind, both the one that he was going to run into and the one that he just did run into on Adrian Beltre's triple. That's going to go as an error on Todd Cunningham. A fairly easy play, but you know, when your mind is saying that's going to hurt if I hit that wall, and where is that thing? You tend to forget about catching the baseball.
Well, the error extends the at-bat for Andrus, and it looks like Banny looking back to see if maybe fair foul. That one might well have been touched in fair territory. Steve Buechele communicating with the clubhouse. Nope, go ahead. Those would be tough to challenge. Again, going back to the way it was called on the field and having enough then to overturn it.
Well, you need a camera angle from right down the line. And some places have that, some places don't.
1-2 to Andrus. Now, and it's not where Cunningham is, it's where the ball was when he touched it. Tough to say there, but that's awfully close. Now there's strike 3 called, so Andrus is done, but the Rangers get 2 back, and after 2.5, it's a 5-2 Angels lead. Coca-Cola family pack. It includes 4 tickets, 4 jumbo hot dogs, 4 Coke soft drinks, 2 Kids Zone wristbands, and 1 souvenir program. A family pack is an ideal way to catch the Rangers when they play the Oakland A's on July 25th through the 27th. Go to TexasRangers.com/specials to get your Coca-Cola family pack today. 5-2 as we begin playing the bottom of the 3rd. And a strike to Mike Trout. Is this the first time? No, just the second time in this series that Trout has led off an inning. And he serves this one out to right field. Mazara, positioned well, makes the play, and that is out number 1.
Yeah, Martin and the Rangers really need a 0 up on the board for this half inning. Very, very important. Otherwise, the momentum you just got by getting 2 runs against Santiago kind of goes by the wayside.
Well, it would be like the double shutdown inning right here, right? Because number 1, you keep that momentum, but number 2, you do it against Trout, Pujols, and then the guy who hit the 3-run homer tonight, Jeffrey Marte. Backdoor breaking ball to Pujols, misses for ball 1. So ostensibly, you can put those guys in your rearview mirror for a couple innings. This one hit out to right field. This time Mazara shaded the wrong direction, and will have to pick it up on a bounce. Pujols with his second hit of the night. It's not enough of him.
Yeah, it's probably as well as I've seen Pujols swing the bat the last couple of years against the Rangers. Hadn't been doing a lot of damage, but this series, he looks much better driving the ball to all parts of the ballpark. Taking mistakes out of the ballpark, which you expect him to do, but he's had several hits up the middle and the other way in this series.
We got a note tonight before the game from Elias. It says that Pujols' 11 RBIs over his last 3 games, the highest total over any 3-game span in his 16-year career, and a pretty good career at that.
Yeah, that surprised me. I saw that note too, and that surprised me. I would have thought it would have been higher than that, but I guess not.
Of course, he had 4 home runs in these last 3 games of which we speak. He's added 2 more hits today, another RBI.
Right.
What an amazing career he has put together. 1-strike pitch to Marte. And it's 0-2. We talked about it a couple of times last night. You know, the Rangers have done such a good job of getting ground ball double plays this year. Really was part of the foundation of their great run in May and June. Most in baseball this season. 1-2 the count now on Marte. The Angels have hit into the most of anybody in baseball. And this guy, Martin Perez, well, he's tied for first in the big leagues. 21 ground ball double plays that he has been able to manufacture. He could use one right here. 1-2. They'll take the strikeout of Marte, however, 2 away.
That's the first strikeout for Martin Perez. That target set down and in, and that's exactly where Martin Perez threw that. A little two-seam fastball that probably to Marte seemed like it was inside, but it came back just enough to get the call from Malinsky, the home plate umpire.
So now 2 gone for Andrelton Simmons. Simmons grounded out in the first inning. He's 0 for 1. Angels got 4 runs in the first. 3-run homer by Jeffrey Marte, the big blow. Then they added a run in the second. One and 1 to Simmons. Taking a look at our Ford leaderboard. The Angels this month, 108 runs, averaging almost 7 a game, most in baseball. Two and 1 to Simmons. Angels also right now on a little bit of a run. They run 5 in a row, and that is their season high this year. They've won 9 of their last 11. Two balls, 2 strikes on Simmons.
Poor man Adrian Beltre. See more and more guys trying that, and you just don't get the same effect that Adrian does. It's not by design, but that's.
Simmons this time shoots it out to right center, and it's going to drop in there. Base hit. Pujols not as quick as he once was. They'll stop him at third. Now, he's a very good base runner, not very fast, but Pujols is great reads on the baseball and usually runs the bases extremely well. He really lumbered from first to third on that double by Simmons.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with carrying a piano when you're running, especially at his age, but when you stop to play it along the way, that's when you lose your base running credibility. Pretty good job by Simmons to get a pitch that he can handle and drive it the other way with authority. And nice job by Nomar Mazara getting it back, an accurate throw to Profar and then get the ball back in. If that play is mishandled by either Mazara or Profar, now he got a balk to score. Oh, man.
Boy, that's a tough one. Perez with the balk. And so much for the shutdown inning. Pujols able to walk down the line. And it's now 6-2.
I apologize. I was busy talking to you about the piano playing, but I did not see what happened.
Well, the problem is I was looking right at it. I didn't either. A lot of balks are hard to pick up. Let's see.
That's not hard to pick up.
Yeah.
We just started that. In contact with the rubber, going into the stretch position and making a motion like you were going to and then stopping without completing the motion. That's going to be a balk 100% of the time.
So the 1-0. And that's ball 2 to Jett Bandy, who flied out in the first. So they got 4 in the first, 1 in the second, and another now in this third inning. They're finding all sorts of ways to score. 2-0. Perez maybe rattled a little bit again.
Yeah, when that cap goes up, the bill of that cap goes up, and you see his whole forehead, he's pretty frustrated with himself. That's one of the things that Martin does to show his anger at himself, if you will, or anger at the situation, really.
It's 3-0. And there he loses Bandy. Third walk issue. He got ambushed earlier tonight on a 3-0 pitch when Jeffrey Marte struck with that 3-run homer. Rocale with another visit. Rocale's had to do a lot of these kind of moments lately out there. And not to pick on Martin Perez, but this has been the story of this recent difficult stretch for the Rangers. It's starting pitching. They're just not getting any length out of anybody. And that's usually what comes with that is ineffective pitching as well. A lot of big holes for the offense to try and cover. The bullpen then having to cover a lot of innings, and it's worn them down just a little bit.
Well, and it's gone from being ineffective early in a ball game to now not being able to hold leads early in a ball game. And that may be more frustrating than just not going deeply into the ball game. You know, when you get the lead and can't maintain it, that's really a problem.
Mike Scioscia barking at Malinsky, and pretty clearly Malinsky telling him that's it. Line has been drawn.
Mike might be the only guy I know that can have his team leading by 4 runs and still get the umpire mad at him about a missed call.
One strike pitch from Perez. And that ball hit on one hop to Andrus. A force out at second retires Bandy and the Angels. But they add another run to the total. We go to the 4th. Rangers down by 4. Fireworks show will be Friday, July 29th, sponsored by Sherwin-Williams. Royals and Rangers, 7:05 first pitch. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. A 4-run game tonight as we go to the 4th. A lot of offense early. Hector Santiago comes right after Mitch Moreland with strike 1. It has been a real struggle for Santiago tonight. And he's worked with a lot of run support. The lefty's 1-strike pitch. A little wide, 1-1 the count. Moreland was the 1 out in the middle of 3 walks. Back in the 2nd inning, Santiago walked Andrus, then got Moreland to fly out, then walked Chirinos and Mazara in order. 1-2 the count now on Moreland. Now Moreland today batting 7th in the order. He's facing the left-hander Santiago. The news today before the ball game. It was about a little after 3 o'clock this afternoon. Rangers making a couple of roster moves. Shin-Soo Choo and Prince Fielder both placed on the disabled list. Now Delano DeShields and Hanser Alberto both recalled and may even be here at some point in the middle of tonight's game. 2-2 the count to Moreland.
Yeah, as of right now, Rangers are playing 2 men short, is what it comes down to. Only extra man on the bench, Bobby Wilson and Jared Hoyt.
In some ways, Buzz, with Chu's situation the last couple of weeks, Banny was a man down anyway.
Yeah.
Because Chu was hardly available. This ball belted center field. Trout is back and it's gone. Home run by Mitch Moreland. A solo shot starts the 4th. The Rangers continue to chip away. It's a 6-3 game.
We were talking about Mitch the other night when he hit the home run on Monday night, how much he likes to hit in West Coast parks, and he does it again here. Moreland just smoking the baseball, and that's the last 5 times to the plate now. Even though he only had the 1 hit, the home run to show for it, he has really hit the ball solidly and staying in against the left-hander Santiago. Moreland with the drive to dead central, his 13th of the year.
Now Chirinos, and he pops this one straight up, right near the mound. Who will take it? Oh, man. Hamilton Simmons wrestles that one down to the turf and just did prevent it from touching the grass. Wow. That was a tough one. Santiago was trying to tell everybody where it was. When it's right on the mound like that, it's a little difficult.
Yeah, guys are trying to run around the mound. Now, Simmons said, I'll run right across it. It's the classic 5 guys standing there and say everybody else is yelling, you take it.
Is there a time when the pitcher takes it, or
They'd tell you that ball like that's too high, the pitchers can't catch those. I don't agree with it. But you're better off having somebody other than a pitcher that's looking straight up in the air, for one thing. Trying to figure out where things are going to come down. Let somebody else who's a little more used to handling pop-ups and their various spins.
2 quick strikes to Nomar Mazara. This was Moreland moments ago.
A good, short, quick swing that generates so much power for Mitch. Good looking shot there.
Mazara bouncer second base, and Giavotella slings it over to retire Mazara. 2 away.
Second baseman, number 19, Jurickson Profar.
Moreland 2 home runs in this series. His bat has started to come around lately. Top of the order now. Profar 0 for 2 out of that leadoff spot. You were mentioning it earlier that the splits for Profar, left-handed, right-handed, are pretty pronounced. And that is one thing, you know, getting some reps here against the left-hander will give him a chance to work on that 225 average as he hits right-handed. 1 and 2 now on the switch hitter.
Yeah, and part of the problem, Dave, has been the number of at-bats. Normally, you know, the guy that, a switch hitter that has fewer at-bats, whatever side it is he has fewer at-bats on, is going to hit for a lesser average from that side. He just doesn't work on it nearly as much. And that's true for Jurickson, only 40 at-bats right-handed as compared to 93 at-bats left-handed coming into play tonight. So to your point, yeah, more reps you can get, the better chance you have of at least hitting what you're supposed to from that side of the plate.
Santiago gets him to hook one over toward third. Escobar cuts it off and throws it across the diamond in time. Rangers get one back though. Mitch Moreland with the solo home run sends us to the bottom of the fourth and a 3-run game. Time for our greater coverage of baseball presented by T-Mobile. Now Felix Hernandez back for the Mariners today. Coming off the disabled list, Mariners would use his good starting performance and then go on and win a dramatic one at the bottom of the 11th inning. As Todd Cunningham hits one hard out to left field and over the head of Rua. Cunningham turns second. He's going to try for 3. Here comes a throw, and he's in there with a triple. Cunningham's 3rd hit of the year, 2 doubles and a triple.
That's going to be a double and an error on Ian Desmond, the official scorer, saying that Cunningham was going to pull in at second. Ball coming off the wall, and Desmond just couldn't quite make the grab coming off that short hop. And Cunningham showing you pretty good speed. He got down to third base very quickly.
So now he's 90 feet away, and the top of the order, Yunel Escobar. 2 hits tonight. Fouls off strike 1. Well, the Angels 4 runs in the first inning, single tallies in the second and the third, and they've got the lead man at third base in the 4th inning. One and 1 to Escobar, and it's pretty safe to say this Angels offense is clicking right now in every conceivable way. This is not just an isolated couple of days against the Rangers. They've been pounding lumps on everybody lately. Infield in tight.
Yeah, scoring the runs. They're leading baseball in batting average with runners in scoring position. So every time they get an opportunity, they capitalize on it, at least for the month of July.
Escobar has provided them a good RBI bat in that leadoff spot. So there are his numbers with runners in scoring position this year. Sends this one to right field. Mazara backing up on it, but it should be deep enough. Cunningham tags. And the throw not in time. Escobar's sac fly makes it 7-3 Angels. All right, Quicken Loans Rocket Arms. Taking a look at a couple of names. Been out there a lot lately. Chris Archer, 11 strikeouts tonight. 147, most in the American League. Max Scherzer, 171, leads all of Major League Baseball. Archer's name thrown out there a little bit as a possibility as the Rays consider the chance they might trade him.
He'd be he is their top pitcher right now, and they would expect the most in return in a trade for Chris Archer. That doesn't mean he's not tradable.
It'd be a long shot. Somebody'd have to get pretty darn aggressive, but they have made the point that they are entertaining those conversations. Got a handful of other good ones out there too. Matt Moore, Jake Odorizzi. So they've got some fairly sought after arms. Is a bouncer right side, smothered out there by Profar. Has time to get up and make the play, and gets Calhoun.
Oh, what a play by Jurickson Profar. We saw him do this last night at shortstop, or night before last, at shortstop, making that 360 out in shallow center field. Tonight, showing you the range he has at second base. There aren't too many second basemen that can go that far that quickly and come up with the ball.
I think you can make an argument that this is, for the Rangers, their best infield defense. I mean, it looks pretty good with Beltran, Andrews left side, Profar, Moreland on the right. Pitch to Trout. Hit straight up in the air into shallow right field. Mazara able to get in and make the play, inning over. But the Angels add another run to 7-3 lead as we go to the fifth. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the all-new 3-row Mazda CX-9, meticulously crafted for driving because driving matters. Angel Stadium here in Anaheim, fifth inning. And Ian Desmond leading things off for the Rangers. It'll be Desmond, Beltre, and Rua, 2, 3, and 4 hitters tonight for Jeff Bannister and the Rangers. 1-1 to Desmond. Already has 2 hits tonight, a single and a double. His 39th multi-hit game this year. Mookie Betts of the Red Sox has 40 to lead the American League. 1-2 on Desmond. 3 hits yesterday. Well, Rangers need some base runners. Plenty of time to get them tonight. Only in the 5th inning. And you certainly get the sense that Santiago's not going to go real deep into this one. His 90th pitch of the night. And Desmond stays alive, 1-2.
Yeah, the Rangers put some at-bats together in this inning. He's not going to make it through this inning. That's something that Mike Scioscia has had to deal with in his starting staff up until the last month. Last month, the starters have been pretty good for the Angels, but injury decimated their starting cores.
Scioscia in his 17th year as manager here in Anaheim. Chopper over the mound, back of second. Simmons with a rocket to first, and he just does get Desmond.
Yeah, we talk about the qualifications with Andrelton Simmons as the best shortstop defensively in baseball. Here you get a pretty good idea, not only of his quickness, but how about that arm? Now, you're talking about getting Ian Desmond by half a step, and Desmond runs as well as anybody from the right side of the plate.
Well, he had no time to get that throw off. He got it off quickly and put a lot on it. So now Beltre. The first pitch a little tight. We've seen some good defensive plays in this series. We've seen a lot of power in this series, whether it's power arms making plays or the bats. Beltre pops it foul our way. 1-1 to count. Rangers have hit 7 home runs in this 3-game series. One from Santiago. And that's ball 2. Beltre had a triple his last time up. Slight shift on the infield for Adrian to pull it, and he does, but foul. Adrian continuing his climb toward 3,000 hits. Probably get there at some point next year. Only one player who's ever played more games at third in their careers. That's Brooks Robinson. As this one way up in the air right field. Calhoun coming on. Pulls off Giavotella. 2 away. That was the first time in tonight's game that Santiago has turned back the first 2 hitters of an inning. He has dealt with a lot of base runners. In fact, walked 3 Rangers in the second, but managed to get out of that second inning without any runs allowed. A little tight to Rua for ball 1. Rangers did put an end to Santiago's long streak of consecutive innings without giving up an earned run. Rua flares this one into left field, a base hit, his first of the night.
A good job by Ryan fighting off that pitch that was working its way inside to him, and still got the good part of the bat to it, able to get the 2-out single.
On for Odor, who tonight 0 for 2, but was 11 for 23 against Hector Santiago coming into tonight. And shoots this one out of play for strike one. Well, Santiago's gotten him a couple of times tonight, but the numbers would suggest that he's at risk any time Odor steps in. And Odor lately, he's not just hit the ball well, he's hit the ball with a lot of power. Smashes this one down to first, but Marte with a nice play. And he'll take it to the bag himself. That ends the inning. Rangers leave another man. We're halfway there tonight. Angels leading 7-3. On Sunday, July 31st, final game of that Royals-Rangers series will be treated to the Green Dot bobblehead, courtesy of Nitto Tires. It's the second in a series of 3 dot bobbleheads this season. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com and be sure to collect all 3 dot bobbleheads. Off we go, bottom of the 5th inning. Albert Pujols leading it off. 2 for 2 tonight. Though both his hits singles, bouncer up the middle. This one will be handled by Profar. Plenty of time, and retires Pujols for out number 1. Time for another Chevy game break. Let's check in with Dana Larson. All right, thanks, Dana. Fly ball center field, handled out there by Desmond, and Jeffrey Marte turned back to 2 quick outs for Martin Perez. That'll bring up Andrelton Simmons. A 7-3 ball game here. Rangers trying to avoid a sweep in Anaheim. Dana giving us a little look at that Giants Red Sox game with Hanley Ramirez and those 3 home runs. Red Sox won today 11-7. And that's one of those interleague matchups that they're not always real compelling, but that one was fun.
Yeah.
Took a lot of folks back to the 1912 World Series. Very few of us were there. It's a 1-strike pitch. Makes it count 1-1, but that's that World Series went 8 games. There was a tie, and because of night, it just got too dark, so they just called a game a tie, flipped a coin, and played an 8th game. This one shot out to right field by Simmons, and He has another hit, 2 more tonight. So Andrelton Simmons aboard with 2 gone. It brings up Jett Bandy. At the 1912 World Series, I think it was Smokey Joe Wood for Boston. It was Christy Matheson for the Giants. 2 of the greats of the time.
Yeah.
And they were staggered a little bit, so they weren't scheduled to face one another in the series, but in game 8 they did end up pitching head-to-head. Wood winning, although he came out in relief in that one as Jett Bandy takes one tight for ball 1.
Yeah, they didn't believe in rotations back then, from what I read.
Run out there every day.
Yeah.
That was a note I think yesterday. It was the anniversary of Cy Young getting his 500th career victory.
Yeah.
500. Whoa. That one fouled off the count 1-1. He had over 300 losses.
Right.
We talk about now, you ever think there'll be another 300-game winner? How about a 300-game loser? You know, now you're talking. You got to be pretty good to rack up 300 losses.
A lot of confidence by the manager in you. They send you out there that often.
One away, another 2 away here, the 1-1 pitch. And he fights off another one. Bandy 0 for 1. He went out to center field in the first inning. He walked in the 3rd. We have seen quite a bit of Jett Bandy in this series. Giovanni Soto was to be their everyday catcher this year. Injuries have really hurt the Angels all the way around. Pitching and even in the position player ranks. Runner going. It's high and tight. The throw to second, not in time. So Andrelton Simmons with a steal of second. 3rd of the year for him.
A good jump by Simmons. We see the high leg kick by Martin Perez, and Simmons read that very well. He was off on first move. Not much of a chance for Robinson Chirinos to throw him out.
So man in scoring position, 2-2 pitch, and there's a swing and a miss, strike 3. So Bandy down swinging, and that ends the 5th. We'll go to the 6th inning. The Rangers trailing by 4. Tonight's jackpot worth $100. Dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run this inning, William Fox from Murphy wins $100. But if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, William will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, that'll be Elvis Andrus, Mitch Moreland, and Robinson Chirinos in this 6th inning. Rangers have stranded 5 so far tonight. They managed the 3 runs. J.C. Ramirez coming on to replace Hector Santiago.
And we saw Ramirez here on Monday night. Came in and worked an inning and 2/3 of scoreless baseball. A hard-throwing right-hander. 38th ball game overall. He's been with the Angels since the middle of June.
Well, he'll deal with Andrus first here. Misses with ball 1. Elvis 0 for 1 with a walk. Hector Santiago really had to battle to get through 5 innings tonight. And now 2-0. Santiago used 100 pitches in his 5 innings. He did retire 6 of the final 7 Rangers he faced, so he kind of got efficient at the ending. Keep it at just 100 pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, he was pacing for about 120 in 5.
Pitch count police would have been all over Sochi if he'd gone that far.
Andrus wants a moment to reset. J.C. Ramirez, it's taking a little while to come to a decision. Now the 2-1. That's ball 3. Amazing, Santiago in that 2nd inning just was lost for a stretch. Walked 3 of 4 batters he faced, but those were the only walks he issued. And now the count full on Andrus. Elvis off a big night last night. Sends this one out towards center field, but Trout able to angle back and make the play, 1 away.
First baseman, number 18, Mitch Moreland.
Moreland homered in the 4th. Straightaway center field, 2nd home run in this series. Now a chance to look at a right-hander here. J.C. Ramirez, the first Nicaraguan player in Angels history. One of just 14 ever in the big leagues. Bumps in strike 1 to Moreland. We pointed out the other night he's been pretty well traveled. So he jumps ahead here 0-2. He's got good stuff. At least he lights up that gun a little bit.
Yeah, sure does.
It's funny, that's usually enough to earn you some opportunities. I mean, if you can bring it a little bit, there'll be some patience with you. That one, you see at 98 miles per hour. That's the type of thing that makes it very hard for a team to give up on you.
Yeah, it makes it hard. But Dave, at the big league level, I think you see that less and less, to where you get all the opportunities if you're walking people right and left. The minor leagues, they'll be patient with you.
Bouncer to the left side. Escobar with time to pump the glove. Gets Moreland, and there are 2 gone.
But you get to the big leagues, and you need to throw enough strikes to make that velocity play. And as we've talked about, the big league hitters, I don't care how hard you throw. If that's all you throw and it's a fairly straight fastball, everybody's going to catch up with it. It's a matter of time before they're able to hit you around pretty solidly.
His numbers this year with the Angels are the best he's ever posted in the big leagues. Started the year with Cincinnati Reds. Dumps one in there for a strike to Chirinos. And, you know, was not throwing the ball great for Cincinnati. A 6.40 ERA and 27 relief appearances. But in limited exposure here in the American League, he's done a nice job at 2.45 ERA so far. This is just his 11th appearance with the Angels.
You know, and some guys go to a particular team and for no particular reason have the light bulb go on. And you finally figure it out and say, okay, this is what I have to do. And it just happens that way sometimes.
1-1 to Chirinos. Woo, look out. That one got a little bit of the jersey. So Chirinos heads to first. 2-out base runner.
I think Robbie's too happy about that. I think that got a little more than the jersey. Fastball at about 98 coming in at the belt buckle. That will make you talk to yourself. And have some unkind thoughts about the guy who just did that to you.
Get that heart pumping just a little harder too.
Yeah.
So Robbie's at first, and Nomar Mazara with a chance here to, again, just to keep the line moving a little bit, and he does. Shoots it into left field, a base hit. Chirinos will stop at second after an aggressive turn there, but 2 men on. And now the top of the order coming up.
Now that's a good at bat by Nomar. I really like when he keeps that that swing short and takes that outside pitch the other way with authority. He hit that ball solidly. And that wasn't just a cue shot down the third base line. That was a rocket right down the left field line. And that's a double if he doesn't have Chirinos in front of him, and you're not trailing by 4 runs.
We're getting into that territory now where this game could get real interesting again with one big swing. Profar perhaps thinking the same thing. 99-mile-per-hour fastball. And he just missed it.
Yeah, Jurickson up there from what has to be right now his favorite side. He's had much more success this year as a left-handed hitter. Probably feels much more comfortable.
And hits this ball hard left field. Cunningham angles back, and that ends the inning. No runs, a hit, 2 more left. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. This one right now in the hands of the Angels. Rangers Hall of Fame luncheon going to take place on Friday, July 29th. Join the Texas Rangers as we honor Michael Young for his induction into the Texas Rangers Baseball Hall of Fame. You can reserve a table or purchase individual tickets for this special event by visiting texasrangers.com/luncheon. Coming right up. Now bottom of the 6th inning here. And Martin Perez just misses outside with ball 1 to Giavotella. Giavotella walked and scored a run of the 2nd. And then bounced out in the 3rd. And hits this one sharply into center field, a base hit. So the 8th place man on, and Todd Cunningham coming to bat. See Doug Brocail and Jeff Bannister chatting, and obviously the conversation about whether or not it's time to get somebody going in that bullpen.
Yeah, and who that would be. That's your hands forced a little bit this time of the ball game, and that becomes a matter of managing the bullpen, not just for tonight, but for the upcoming series in Kansas City. Guys that maybe haven't had an opportunity, and guys that you need to stay away from for another day or 2 days with the off day tomorrow.
Well, Sean Tollison's gotten some work lately, usually in what has ended up being extended relief outings for him. Keep an eye on Giavotella. Now, the pitch count not the issue here. The issue simply, you just can't let this thing get any further away from you. Rangers still, you know, within shouting distance here. But you got to keep it that way. Cunningham with a sacrifice and a double, and he shows bunt, fouls that one off of Chirinos.
Well, Robinson's had a couple of those tonight that put him in awkward positions coming up to the field. This with a bunt there, and came right down and got him in the bare hand. See how vulnerable a position a catcher is in when he reaches up. That exposes parts of it that are designed not to be exposed. that hand keeping it down by your side, normally that's covered up pretty well. And we already talked about the bare part of the legs that you expose doing that. Yeah, that has to bring back visions of that broken forearm that Robinson had in this ballpark back in April.
He's okay. Mike Malinsky, the plate umpire, just making sure of that before resetting. 0-2. Count on Cunningham. Giavotella at first, on via the single. Rangers have been running a little bit in this series, but leading by 4 here. Part of it, you just want to keep a guy close, too. Keep that potential double play in order. This one hit softly, and on one hop, they'll get the second for one, and on to first double play. Great play by Profar. Smart enough to take it on a short hop and get the double play.
Yep, very well done. Classic move right there, Profar. Couldn't try and catch it first and then drop it. He had to play it on the short hop. Had the second base umpire, Marty Foster, right out there taking a look at it. He immediately signaled no catch. And turning it into a 4-6-3 double play. Wisely done, far beyond his 23 years of experience. Jurickson Profar making that play like a seasoned vet.
Great defensive play, and now to the top of the order. Yunel Escobar, who has been very busy. A couple of singles, a sac fly tonight. After the Rangers had held him hitless in the first 2 games. And Perez starts him off with a curveball for strike 1. And Perez trying to get the Rangers through 6. The bouncer right back to him. He'll take care of business, and that will end the inning. Leadoff single, but only 3 batters faced. We go to the 7th. Rangers down by 4. Ford game summary. First inning on a 3-0 pitch. Jeffrey Marte launched that one, and it made it 4-0 Angels. Adrian Beltre bangs this one off the wall in the third. A triple brought home Ian Desmond. Got the Rangers started offensively a little bit later on. Mitch Moreland in the fourth. Solo homer to center field, his second of the series. That's how the Rangers have gotten to their 3 runs tonight, trailing 7-3, and now dealing with Joe Smith in the 7th.
Yeah, the 32-year-old right-hander Joe Smith on now. This is his 3rd year with the Angels, and he was brought over from Cleveland to be the primary setup man for the tail end of the bullpen. Houston Street down there now in the closer's role. 32nd appearance, 33rd appearance now for Joe Smith. We saw him last night. Worked an inning, gave up a hit, but no runs to the Rangers.
3rd pitcher of the night for the Angels. Big spot in this 7th inning. The Rangers sitting 2-3-4 to the plate. They've had opportunities tonight. They've just been waiting for that big hit. 0-2 to Desmond.
I think Ian would like to have a mulligan on that one. It hung up there for him and just underneath it a bit.
I see Desmond now 2 more hits tonight, giving him 119. Some pretty good company on that list. He hits this one high in the air, back of first. The second baseman Giavotella racing over, but Marte stays with it, and the first baseman makes the catch. 1 away.
Giavotella is either overly aggressive or he knows something about Marte's ability to catch pop-ups. I'm not sure which it was.
I thought he was trying to make an open field tackle. I mean, it looked like he was bearing down on Marte, like wanted to stop him from getting to the sideline. Here's Adrian Beltre. Just saw his triple a moment ago. His 3rd hit so far on this road trip, a trip that began on the north side of Chicago and will move to Kansas City later on tonight. No game tomorrow. The team will have tomorrow off to kind of reacclimate. It'll be a long night's travel for the ball club. And they'll get started against the Royals Friday night. In fact, what, they play 7 games against Kansas City in a 10-day stretch.
Right.
This one hit sharply up the middle, but Giavotella right there on top of it. And throws over to first to get Beltre. 2 away. So it's unusual. The only time that the Rangers will see the Royals, and both the home and road games will happen very quickly. We've seen it a couple of times this year. And Ned Yost, when we bumped into Ned Yost during spring training, he was not a fan of that.
Yeah.
You know, what if my team's not playing real well right then? You know?
Exactly.
And there's certainly it's a big part of it. Not always who you play, it's when you play them.
Yep.
Ryan Rua is 1 for 2 with the sac fly. And this one off the handle, popped up, right side of the infield. And it is Marte again who takes care of it. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Joe Smith and the Angels. They'll stand and stretch tonight. Angels leading your Rangers 7-3. Upcoming schedule for the Rangers. Off day tomorrow in Kansas City. Then 3 against the defending world champs. Back home though, Rangers will have the Oakland A's, the Kansas City Royals for 4 to wrap up the month of July, and then back to the road again for August. Tough stretch on the schedule for the Rangers lately, as this ball smashed up the middle by Calhoun. A base hit starts the bottom of the 7th inning. Calhoun on in front of Mike Trout and Albert Pujols again, and that's enough to get Jeff Bannister out. And he will go to his bullpen. Martin Perez gets it into the 7th inning, but is done tonight. The Rangers trailing by 4. New pitcher coming on. We'll tell you about him in just a moment. Angels, Matt Bush has come on to pitch for the Rangers. Martin Perez, 6+ innings.
Well, Matt Bush on for his 29th appearance of the year. The 30-year-old rookie is 3-1 with a 2.30 ERA. Worked 27 and a third innings with 25 strikeouts. Matt brings that upper 90s fastball and a good cutter into play here tonight.
So the dip into the bullpen. He held off tonight into the 7th inning, and the first pitch to Mike Trout is strike 1. Trout 0 for 2 with a walk. He's 3 for 6 in the first 2 games. He has scored 5 runs in this 3-game series. And he's in a hole here, 0-2. Largely considered the best player in Major League Baseball. Trout in just his 5th season, 24 years old. He has put his name alongside some of the all-time greats for the production in the very early part of his career. 1-2 the count. Matt Bush, a rookie. Just getting his start in the big leagues. And this one hit on the ground, right side, handled by Profar, not in time. Excellent play again by Profar just to get to that ball and have a play. It looked initially as if it would be Marlins, but you're not going to get Trout if you don't execute to perfection.
Now this one right off the fist, and Trout, that may be the softest ball that he's ever hit for a base hit. Just barely got out to Profar, and with Trout speed, not much you can do. The best opportunity the Rangers had is if Mitch could have come up with it, they could have gotten the force at second. And that was where Mitch was headed, but Trout is too quick to have that play go in your favor.
Well, 2 runners out there for Albert Pujols. We saw the same scenario a couple of times yesterday. Both times, Pujols homered. Chirinos out to just make doubly sure that he and Matt Bush are on the same page here. Those RBIs in the month of July. Amazing. In 16 years in the big leagues, all he's accomplished, and this is the greatest 3+ game stretch in his career. Pujols, 36 years old. Takes one right down the middle. 1-1. Angels continuing their torrid stretch with runners in scoring position lately. 3 for 5 tonight. That's 2 balls and a strike now on Pujols. Three-time MVP in the National League. He's won a couple of World Series. The 2-1. Late on that fastball. 2-2. Bush trying to overpower Albert Pujols. Right-hander's 2-2 pitch, and that one fouled off. Mentioning earlier before the pitching change that this stretch for the Rangers, a pretty challenging one. They're in the middle of a stretch from late June through July 24th, which they'll play 19 of 23 games on the road. Thus far, that has not treated them real well.
No, they have not played well.
Check swing. Did he go? No appeal. Ball gets away. And both runners advance.
Well, if Jersey scored a wild pitch, that ball skittering under Robinson Chirinos, and it is going to be a wild pitch. This is one that Robinson will tell you should have blocked. The ball came up for him a little bit, didn't stay down. He just didn't get down quite far enough. The glove never got down as far as it should have.
So that means the infield will all have to creep up onto the edge of the grass. The 3-2 to Pujols, and he swings and misses. Strikeout is the first out of the inning.
No, Matt able to throw something other than a fastball, and he got Pujols on that curveball that is his best off-speed pitch. Sharp late break to it. At 80 or 81 miles an hour, that's a pretty big contrast at 98 for the fastball.
Such a good pitch. I was asking him on the last homestand, you know, how he has allocated it, because he doesn't throw it very often, but he uses it for spots just like that. It's a curveball that he's not comfortable bouncing. You know, when you need to throw one out of the zone, that's why he went to that slider. When he needs a swing and miss like that curveball can be devastating. As he points out, it really looks like a fastball. His motion, everything, it comes out sort of the same. And it turns into that 81-mile-per-hour hook. Ji-Man Choi. Pinch hitting here for Marte. Way up and out, 1-1. Last of the 7th inning. That was a big strikeout of Pujols. Calhoun still just 90 feet away down at third. Trout out at second. And the infield has to remain up close. One and two now on Choi.
The spot now after Choi has seen the fastball and the fastball away, I should say, and fouled it the other way. This is not the place to throw the cutter. Something a little bit off speed. Either a curveball or a good fastball.
Ooh, comes back with a heat, and he strikes out Choi, 2 away.
Reason being, when you're fouling the ball off the other way, you're late with the swing, and you don't want to give a guy a chance with the same swing to catch up with the ball that's just a little bit slower.
A big strikeout there for Bush. Let's take another Chevy game break. Check in again with Dana Larson. Thanks, Dana. We've been wondering when we were going to see that. Massive home run. And now Simmons. 2 hits tonight. And very productive. The infield can relax with 2 out. Bush trying to complete a scoreless 7th inning. 2-0. Earlier we mentioned a couple of out-of-town scores. One of them, the Giants losing again in Boston. The Giants have not won a game in the second half. This one popped up. First base territory. Moreland in foul ground, and it ends the inning. So 2 men left in scoring position by the Angels. We go to the 8th. Rangers trail by 4. Sports Service delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Go to MLB.tv for details.
I just called up yesterday from AAA Salt Lake City, Jose Alvarez, his second tour of duty with the Angels this year. Alvarez, 41st appearance. He's kind of a left-handed specialist, maybe an inning at the most. 313 opponent's batting average against him. He has struggled a bit with that 4.38 ERA for Alvarez.
Let's see what the Rangers can get done against him. Rougned Odor will start things off in this 8th inning. Ji-Man Choi has stayed on to play first. The first pitch to Odor. Rougned hitless so far tonight in 3 tries. .1-0 from Alvarez. This ball golfed out towards center field. Trout reaches up and makes the play. Odor reacting to Trout's effort.
Yeah, you kind of get an idea how the night air affects the travel of the ball. That ball was really smoked by Rougned, and Trout had it fairly easily under control. But earlier in the ball game, when it's the air's a little bit lighter, that ball's going to go to the wall at least.
Well, we got a good taste of that last night too. The ball was just flying out of the yard first 5-6 innings, and then late in the ball game, this ball's really well struck. Beltre hit one late in the 9th inning, didn't quite carry. Bouncer this time over to the left side of the infield, and Andrus retired quickly and quietly in the 8th inning. Rangers down to their final 4 outs.
First baseman, number 18, Mitch Moreland.
Jose Alvarez, the 4th pitcher of the night for the Angels. Hector Santiago began the game and really worked around some control issues early on. Got to 5. Take a look at our AT&T high-speed replay. Santiago unable to work around this one. Moreland took him deep to straightaway center field. Only home run of the game tonight for the Rangers. After 6 on Monday and Tuesday nights. And a ball and a strike to Moreland. So Mitch 1 for 3 tonight. Ideally, he would just find his way on right here. Give Chirinos an opportunity. It's 2-1. JC Ramirez pitched a scoreless inning in relief, as did Joe Smith. And now Alvarez, the 3rd reliever. Left-hander runs that one off the plate. It's 3-1. So they brought him on with 2 lefties coming up this inning, Odor and Moreland. They did get Odor, but in danger of losing Moreland here. One timeout taken.
Yeah, the Angels have the right-hander Salas up in the bullpen in case that happens. If he doesn't get Moreland, it probably would be the last batter, I would think, for Alvarez.
And now full count. There you go, Salas continuing to loosen. Well, Sam Dyson hasn't gotten a lot of work lately for the Rangers. Three-2. Old Tapper slowly rolled to 3rd. Tough play. Escobar, he won't have a play. So Moreland is on with the infield hit. And Now we'll find out for sure.
Catcher number
Alvarez
61,
will be done,
Robinson training.
or if they'll let him face one more.
Perfectly placed swinging bunt for Mitch. He'll take that. Not much that Escobar can do down there other than pick it up and put it in his pocket.
Well, 2-hit night for Moreland. They are going to allow Alvarez to stay in there. Chirinos has been on twice tonight, has popped up as well. That was back in the 4th inning. Lately, he's been in a bit of a groove, and in fact, he's been able to hit the ball with some power lately as well. He takes ball 1. Rangers trying to avoid a sweep in Anaheim. They were in a similar situation on Sunday afternoon at Wrigley and won the finale there. That was on the back of Cole Hamels' great pitching performance. But today, 4 early runs, 4 runs in the 1st inning for the Angels, and that really set the tone. And the big hit came on a 3-0 pitch. High strike called to Chirinos. Well, Hamels' next start, well, it'll be Saturday in Kansas City against the Royals. That game's going to be on FS1. Darvish will have the start on Friday night. This one hit sharply down to 3rd base. Escobar will go the short way to 2nd, force out Moreland, and it ends the top of the 8th inning. To the last of the 8th we go. Angels leading the Rangers 7-3.
For the Texas Rangers as they try to come back from this deficit to the Angels right now, and they want to get out of town and forget about the first part of this road trip. They've got one more game left, or one more series, I should say, left on the road trip, but that's after an off day, during which hopefully they can wash all of this away. Adrian Beltre awfully good at Kauffman Stadium, but they're facing the Kansas City Royals, who will spend tomorrow, incidentally, at the White House, getting their recognition for their World Series championship last year. AT&T high-speed internet reminds you that the game isn't tomorrow. It's actually Friday, beginning at 6:30. That's Rangers Live. Game comes your way at 7 on Friday. It's the Rangers and the Royals for one more stop on the road, guys.
Yeah, thanks, John. Bottom of the 8th inning, and Sam Dyson has come on to pitch here. And he starts us off with strike one.
You mentioned, Dave, that Dyson's only appearance on this trip in the second half of the season was on Sunday. Picked up his 19th save of the year. This is his 46th appearance, but his appearances have slowed down in frequency. Yeah, that's been something that Jeff Bannister has really made a concerted effort to do. Sam was on a pace to pitch in the mid-80s as far as numbers of appearances. Jeff said that's too many, so he's slowing it down a bit.
Yet it's gotten to be so slow lately, but here we are in a non-save spot, and he needs to get some work. Bandy hits one hard to center field, but Desmond with plenty of room. One away. I think we talked about that maybe at Chicago, that baseball's such a fickle sport that way. You get in a run where you're winning a lot of games, you're using your closer a lot, and you get to the point, oh boy, maybe I'm using him too much.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you don't have occasion to use your closer, and you're thinking, hey, I got to find a way to get my closer in.
Right.
It's just such a balancing act. Well, here's Johnny Giavotella. Hit a walk, and he's reached on a fielder's choice. All the scoring done early. Angels with that 4-run first, added single tallies in the second, third, and fourth. It's 2-0. So Martin Perez went 6+ today, but gave up 7 runs on 10 hits, walked 3, struck out 2. Bush with a scoreless 7th, and now Dyson. Giavotella bounces one to the right side, and Profar's right there for it. 2 away. Once we get to the 9th inning, Rangers will have Mazara, Profar, and Desmond. 9, 1, and 2 coming up. Of course, working right now in a 4-run deficit. Todd Cunningham shanks one foul for a strike. Cunningham has the double day, and then the tough double play. And hit into the 6th inning. Just a cleverly done job by Profar to get that double play. One and one to Cunningham. Well, Buzz, in the pregame show, the topic of superstitions came up. How do you break out of difficult slides? Cunningham shoots this one out into right field, a base hit. And we learned a little bit about you. Burning a glove of yours and a set of spikes. Now, was that all in one big pyre? Or
no, I did the glove first, and then it took another loss to go to the spikes.
Out of gloves at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So it was, and you know what? It didn't really help.
But it felt good.
It felt better. I felt more confident until I faced the first hitter, and then it was all over.
One of the parts of the story that I like about that is you did that in the clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
Here's Yunel Escobar. And he'll bounce one to Profar. Sets up, makes a throw, and it completes the inning. We'll talk more about your pyrotechnic tendencies when we come back for the 9th inning in just a moment. trailing by 4. And the Angels will give the ball to Houston Street.
Street came in last night, got his save, his 8th save of the year. Hadn't had a save since back in June. Matter of fact, the Angels hadn't had a save since June the 4th. Street on tonight, not a save situation, but Houston missing some time on the disabled list. Now back in the good health department. 324, the average against him by the league.
That exaggerated windup in his first pitch to Mazara. This is for ball 1. Rorio Petit has also checked in the game, playing second base, so a new right side of the infield the last 2 innings. Mazara hits this one down the left field line, high in the air. Long run again for Cunningham. This time he makes the catch. He slides into that wall. Earlier he dropped one like that, but that is the first out of the 9th inning.
Yeah, that might have been a tougher play than the one he dropped.
Yeah.
He just had that wall in his mind, I think, on the one before. But this one he had a long way to go, playing over toward left center a bit. The ball looked like it was slicing back. Pretty good clip to him, but he stayed with it nicely.
So that's the first out of the inning, and out of the top of the order for Profar. 0 for 4 tonight. Jurickson, in 17 games in the leadoff spot this year, was hitting .324 with a couple of home runs. But tonight, no real luck for him. He's grounded out twice, flied out twice. Looks ahead here 2-0. Street comes after him with strike 1. Well, we were talking about your burning of items in the clubhouse back in the day to change up your luck, Buzz. When you burn a glove in a clubhouse, do you get permission for that first, or you just somebody just walk along and say, "Oh, there we go"?
I couldn't do it outside. They had an outdoor burn ban, in effect, and so I had to take it inside. And I had to make sure there was nobody that was sensitive to air pollution in there while I did it. So after doing my due diligence, checking, make sure that everybody was out of the way, I went ahead and burned.
Pops this one up in a shallow left, and it's handled by center. So you went through all the proper channels.
I tried to. Yeah, I tried to cover all the bases. I didn't get the proper permits, but I did everything else.
The great thing about that, though, is inside a clubhouse today, that would be very difficult to pull off. But back in those days, of course, guys were smoking cigarettes everywhere. I mean,
I bet 3/4 of the guys on our team smoked. Yeah, they did at most teams, as a matter of fact. Back in the 1890s, tobacco was pretty popular.
Here's Ian Desmond. Another 2-hit game for him. He takes a strike from Houston Street. Another frustrating one tonight for the Rangers on a disappointing day in general. Learning the news of Prince Fielder and Shin-Soo Choo going to the disabled list. Strike 2 called on Desmond. They'll have a day tomorrow just to kind of clear their minds in Kansas City and then get back after it. A big weekend series against the Royals. 37,000 plus here tonight. Trying to get Houston Street to the finish line. The 1-2, or rather the 0-2 is off the plate. Houston Street looking for saves. I said yesterday, no save spot tonight. The 1-2 just misses out there, nibbling away on Desmond. Ian hits this one a ton left center. Hanging up there for a while and gone. A home run. Trout angled over as if he might be able to get to it. But for Desmond, his 18th homer.
And he had another 3-hit night. Yeah, he is just scalding the baseball. And it's, if you'll remember on Monday night here, said after the first 2 at bats, he said he started feeling better. He had something to build on. Well, he has built on it. He had a home run last night, his first time up, the 3rd time up. Tonight, his home run comes in his last at bat, and his 5th at bat this evening.
Beltre fouls one off for a strike.
Street not going to walk him, so he came in with a fastball that stayed up. And Ian Desmond just deposited that out in the rock garden.
One strike pitch. 3 for 4 yesterday with the home run today. Desmond a triple shy of the cycle. Beltre, as it turns out, had that triple a little earlier. Fouled off again, strike 2. Delano DeShields, who was recalled today as part of the roster moves. Here in time for this 9th inning. Hanser Alberto, the other recall. Yep, there's Hanser. Beltre down the right field line. Long run Calhoun, and it bounces up into the seats. Well, Beltre with a double, and the inning will continue.
It don't go away yet, folks. This may be exactly what the doctor ordered. Get a home run now, an opposite field double. And it's still down to their last out, but they're showing some signs of life that we haven't seen for a little while. And Beltre, you know, most normal people, most mortal people can't go up and hit that ball the way he did. That looks like Vlad Guerrero in his prime.
Ryan Rua now. 1 for 3 with a sac fly. Love to get him on and get Odor to the plate. Heading foul. Will there be room for Choi? No. So the count 0-2 on Rua. Desmond with a 2-out homer. Beltre followed with the double. What a year of frustration for the Angels bullpen. The Rangers can add to it. Just missed 1-2. Guy you want to get up. Whoop, bouncer left side, cut off by Escobar, throws high, everybody's safe. That's been the problem for Escobar, as he has piled up the errors this year. They have largely come on throws. That's going to be a base hit.
Now Escobar going away from the play, and that would have been an easier play had he let it go through to Simmons. And the strong arm that Simmons has. Granted, the third baseman will cut a ball off in front of a shortstop if he's going parallel to the baseline or in toward first base. But you're going back the way that Escobar plays those balls, you're better off letting Simmons have them.
Now you get the potential tying run up in the 9th inning, and DeShields comes on to run for Rua. since June 6th. Odor's 10 home runs are third most in the American League. Odor, rather. He's been swinging it with some thump, some authority lately. Runner going. This one off the hands into shallow left. Cunningham is there, and this one is over. Well, the Rangers put up a fight. The Desmond homer with 2 outs, and then the little rally by Beltre and Rua, but they fall short. 7-4 the final tonight as the Angels sweep this 3-game series. We'll be back with more in just a moment.